Hi, Kyle. In this workflow, I'll be showing you how to actually split up a step file. And in this case, you'll see once you've opened up the step, it's actually a whole bunch of solid models. Now, the thing is, you will not be able to open up and close the doors if they are in this state. You cannot constrain. So to be able to constrain these items, what we'll need to do is we'll have to go over to the Manage button. We have to go here to Make Components. Okay, it's asking me to save the file. I'll just call it let's see its name. Okay. Then in this case, it's going to ask me for all the 3D parts. So I'm going to highlight the whole window. And in this case here, it's the same as actually highlighting inside of this browser too. I'm just holding shift and clicking at the last item. It's then highlighting all of these. I say next. I say okay. And then now Inventor is building the assembly. So what I'll do here is I'll click on front. I'll right click, I'll set this view as top. This is only to help Inventor orbit a bit better within the assembly. But in theory, you'd actually have to rotate all of these objects because the origin, just want to see here. There you see the XY and Z planes are sitting at the position of the vehicle, at the correct height, at the correct distance. So now, the problem with this is when you export it out into the software, it can only be, like, let's say for example on the y-axis, it'll be y-aligned. So it's going to be sideways, but that's going to be fine for now. Then here we just add basic colors inside of Inventor so that when it gets out and into Blender, it's going to have some level of material on it. So I'm going to put smooth white. And you typically want to keep these colors as close to what you're going to use. And sometimes the software will group the objects based off of their existing color. So here I'll just highlight all the ones that should be the same color. I'm going to then go make this rubber. I can actually click on this button here and say rubber. Oh, it's an appearance. Rubber black. Apply. Then I'll select this guy. This guy. Oopsie. Okay. Just holding shift to highlight these guys. Okay. My zooming is inverted, hence why it seems so erratic. Okay, those are all highlighted. And use golf bolts. Okay. This door is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The latch. These are all the same components attached. Let's go here. And every time that file crashed or didn't work, I had to come back and then try and figure out a different plan in order to get it to work. So just be aware of that. Oops. Control to deselect. I'll probably have to get the bolts from the other side. And the washers. Okay. Okay, there's some washers at the bottom. Okay. That's it. Now that this is highlighted, we can press the tab key or we can right click component, demote. And then I'll call it left door. I'll say okay. Now a demotion will create an assembly out of that door. So if I right click, say open, see now it's living in its own assembly. And this is going to help us later on when we're trying to now rig the 3D model. Okay, let's allow this thing to cook. Let's save. Once it's saved, what we can do is we can then constrain the object, or constrain the object, and once it's constrained, we can then use something called a positional state, and then we can export the file in its two different positions. So I'll click on this item, and I actually want this to be ungrounded. It looks like it could be, and it is. We've lost the bolt. Let's undo, but not the whole command. I just want to see where this bolt and nut are. Find in browser. Oh, there. It's 180. I mean 190 and 192. So those components need to go into left door. Let's crack it open. Yes. Let's see what happens. Oh, there's some more components inside here. Let's drag these down. It's like a little sweet spot somewhere at the bottom of the screen. Oh yeah, that latch. Okay. Yes, mouse. Pop up higher. Let's bring this guy into here. Yes, please move it. And it must still be in the same position. Otherwise, it's going to move it to some funky position. Okay, that looks like that's it. I don't know if this is a part of the door assembly. Okay. That's a bit shit. I've lost my item. pressed too many undos. Let's get this oak back in here. Okay, now that's all one piece. Then, because this is all grounded, we can just do a normal constraint, insert. Oh, there's a gap here. That gap will cause problems when we insert, so we'll have to just use this predict orientation. We'll predict position and orientation. It gives us some funny number. I say okay. This thing will still slide, but that's fine because we can constrain this axis onto this axis. The only reason that that is not working is because I said maintain offset. I'll set the offset to 0. Now the door is opening and closing very nicely. Now the problem here is we need to get this door to be flush with the rest of the item. So we're just going to say constrain angle this face to this face. And again, it's using that predictive offset. So let's say I want this to be at 30 degrees. 25. I'll say okay. Then the door itself, you can actually open up you can open it up in its own assembly. And again, you kind of want to use the same sets of colors, so smooth white. And these guys. Galvanized. Oh. Now steel galvanized. This again, I'm going to use the same rubber material as last time. And this just helps programs like Blender or Cinema 4D or 3ds Max better understand what's supposed to go on there. Okay. Looks like some funny shenanigans are going around this door, but let's go steel galv, right click assign. In that case, if I press save, I go back. This door is now Shuppies. Then for the sake of just being able to export this out into Blender, we can go here to position. We can make a new positional state. This original position, I'm going to call this one open. The original position, I'll select this guy here. I'll right click, find in browser. I'll then change by editing the value and setting it to 0 degrees. By setting it to -90. Okay, cool. Let's press save. Go back to open state. We'll go back to that same constraint. And we'll say we want to put an override on it of a value of 25 degrees. And the reason we're doing this is so that we can always have the closed state and the open state for our model. And it can just do the same thing for the side here again. I think there is some trimming here of the door that did not make it through. Will I regret highlighting first? Yes, I will. We'll just turn off the surrounding components. And I guess we can actually even make this thing transparent, because I can't tell which is a part of the assembly and which is not, unless I highlight. But just to make it a little bit easier, I'm going to right click and I'm going to make this transparent. Remove associativity. Now I can see this is it, this is it, this is it. Up here somewhere, there is more. Let's drag this down and into this section. We'll say yes. See, now it's become transparent. That's awesome. I'm just pressing Alt V, Alt key and plus V. And what the Alt and V does together is it just allows us to turn off the visibility of these objects. Let's bring that lower, pop it open, drag this piece here in, say yes. Then, once that's done, we can go to the open state, we can go back to the closed state. That's awesome. Right click on this guy, turn off the transparency, we press save. Now we go File, Export, Export CAD format. And then we pray that we can either pick a USDZ, Blender can ingest this. There's also GLTF, GLB. Blender can also ingest this. I'll pick GLB. I'll press save. Then we can crack open Blender. And we go, oh, this is not Blender, this is Substance. But anyways, Substance, this is the other software that I use. It is a GLB, but I don't see it importing GLB. Let's do a file, export CAD format. That's in documents. File, new, select. Okay, here it is. I'm going to open this file and just pray that this thing just cooks. And I guess while that's doing that, file, I can actually just drag it in. Okay, this thing is still busy. But Substance is the tool that I use to actually put the materials onto the objects. So this is now loading. And if I just open this file as is, you'll see it looks good. And it looks promising. But the problem here is that it's sitting sideways. And let me just do a view, primary view default. And the reason I'm doing a view primary view default is I'm actually trying to turn back on my geometry. Can I right click show all? No. Right click show all? No. Okay. I just did a shift right click to get to part selection. Because the one door, I'm just going to leave that closed. Don't know where that one went. Okay. Okay. I don't know what these things are, but they're on all of these cars. Oh, they latches. Shit. Let's get these colors in here. Okay. So now, okay, weird. So now these materials, like for example, a galvanized material inside of Autodesk Inventor. If I edit this guy, you will see that the Autodesk materials are what we call PBR materials, physically based materials. It's got this generic parameter, which is a diffuse color. This is the actual physical color of the surface. And note, if I click on this thing, it gives me an image, a square texture that will be repeated seamlessly over and over and over again that has got the material. If I click on the source over here, I can actually load my own material, create one with ChatGPT or whatever it may be. Once you apply these materials here, you can actually make them bigger or smaller on your physical model itself. You'll see if I make this 50, for example. I don't know if that made that bigger or smaller. It's 5. 50. There we go. You see the texture is now expanding on the surface. If I make it 5, it makes that texture dimension 5 by 5 centimeters on the physical body of the 3D model. So it's actually to scale. So if you were to take an image and you cropped it down to the size of section that you measured, it would give you the exact repeated material on the object, except you'd get something called tiling on each edge, because now it has to repeat it. There's no varying consistency, but that's irrelevant. That's why we use Blender. That's why we use Cinema 4D to make these things work. Then you have reflectivity here, which is how reflective is the surface itself. And then transparency, bump map is then the bumps on the surface. But the problem is, Autodesk materials aren't always 100% compatible with what comes into, it's not always 100% compatible with what comes into Blender or the Gltf or GLB when you export. So what that basically means is the consistency is not as high as one would like with the materials. Sometimes they come through, sometimes they do not. So you must just be aware of that. That's why you can't use this as a silver bullet to try and shoot out all items, but maybe this is good enough. But let's just go back and let's go File, Export, CAD format, back as a GLB, GLTF, yes. Okay, once that's done, it's nice and exported. I want to view this file again. It's actually looking fucking clean for whatever reason. It's looking very, very fucking clean. Let's get that stone chip going. So I'll right click, I'll open this. And now you'll see, we basically now have got a 3D model, but to select all these faces and apply materials on it is just diabolical. So what we need to do here is we need to thicken / offset. And what we can, fingers crossed, and pray that as we select these patches here, I'm going to make it a new body. I'm going to call this inner shell, which is that stone chip layer. So maybe this stone chip, stone cheap. We can just add additional faces here still. And note I am on create new solid because I don't want this thing to be a part of the body. Point probably smaller than 1 millimeter, but anything smaller than that, because we're working with software that's not that is not CAD based, the surfaces get translated into triangles, and those triangular surfaces cause issues when it comes to animating. It causes issues when it comes to rendering. That's why the one canopy image that you had sent me, the client was like, what's that funny stuff going on the rubber, where it's like got those weird gray triangles. And that's just because when it exports, the geometry itself gets converted into the triangles, like I said, and upon those conversions into triangles, it breaks the accuracy of the geometry because it's no longer mathematically accurate. It is now an approximation of the mathematically accurate object, and then it just causes so many other issues. This is looking fine. I just hope I haven't selected through any of these faces, but I doubt that. Now that looks good. Now we wait for this thing to cook. Thicken failed. 0.05. Thicken failed. Can we make it a surface, please, please, please? Please. Yeah, because when you go 3D, the math becomes very funny when it comes to a weird object like this. And it's weird in the sense that the surfaces aren't planar, and the curves are not based off of a radius. This is what we call a NURB surface. And let's make it 0. 0 works. It cannot be offset. Maybe with some other smaller value it could. Oh, there's some patches here that were missed. Can I edit and still select faces, please? I can. Amazing. Let's let it think. It could be that those two faces were the ones that would not allow it to be converted, but that's fine because I'm going to hide the outside object. Now I've got this inside surface. I can right click, I can turn off the translucency to make it opaque. And once it is opaque, we can then go through and let's try and thicken this geometry as a solid, not as a surface. I'm going to pick, I don't want to pick each patch one by one again. It's tremendously difficult. So I'll say select quilt. This will pick all the patch surfaces as one singular item. I'll try again with my 0.5mm offset. And which way is this thing going? It looks like it's going inside. And I want a new body. Stone chip. Let's see what it does. Oh, it looks like it's doing it. Oh, it couldn't do it. 0.01. No, it won't be able to do it. But we can patch this object. I'm just going to have to make a 3D sketch here to close the back boundary, or to close the shape off to create a closed boundary. And from that closed boundary, I can generate a patch. A patch. Turn off automatic chain. I want to pick one edge at a time. That's a beautiful patch. Apply. Oops. Oh man. I don't know. No, it won't patch this thing. I'm gonna have to draw another line. And I might have to include this edge here, because from the previous selection, I want to see if it's able to come around here. Okay, it is. Okay, that's made a nice thin slither of a patch. And let's see if we can patch this piece. Oh, why are you wanting to go and not across? Let's see here. Okay, it can go across here. Can't pick the top edge. If this does not work, it is not the end of the world. Because we might be able to still get away with this. Oh, there is a gap here. This is a constraint issue. Edit. No, it isn't. It's dead on. But for whatever reason, See, the patch is offset. I don't know why. Automatic chain. Yeah, I can't sense the chain going around here. We must think. Does it have to be a solid? Maybe not. Maybe. The software will not fall apart. Let's just keep this off for now. I'm going to save this chap. And then, let's get that stone chip. That is not a stone chip. And this was a stone chip test I did, and I saved the GLB. And look how beautiful the stone chip looks here. But when it goes into the canopy, it just looks like something else completely different. It's absolutely shocking. But let's create a new material. Or new appearance, rather. It's synthetic. Wood, water, paint, stone, solid glass, plastic, metallic, masonry, glazing, concrete, ceramic. I guess it falls closer to a plastic. A solid plastic, yeah. Where's the color? I don't want to pick a color. I want to get an image. And the image I've created. Let's open it. One file is missing. How are you missing, sir? Open. There we go. I'll say, call it stone cheap. Finish bump. Actually made a normal map. I want to pick the feature. I press shift right click to get to this menu here, feature selection. And that feature, I want to change the whole thing into a stone chip. Okay, then I'm going to save this thing. And you see, this is why you need to offset, because then you get this thing called Z fighting, where the planes are now fighting each other. But I think for now, no, it's not going to be okay. We have to make this thicker. How do we make it thicker? Our boundary patch from this side looks fine. And from this side it is not. Do we just cheat? I don't know if this is a geometric error, but it does not seem so. Because there is a 0.4 physical gap there. Let's do patch. Okay. And then let's do a stitch. To stitch all these surfaces together. And then we want to maintain it as, we don't want to maintain as a surface, we want to apply, and fingers crossed it converts it into a solid object, please. It did, but it consumed it. I can't delete the base component. But before the patch, you can delete the object, I think. Can't. Can I turn it on? Can I delete the object now? I'm gonna go back to the end of the stitch. I can't. Because it's first the object, then I must delete, then I must patch. Delete the stitch. Delete the stitch, delete the body. The solid is still there. Then stitch all these surfaces together. They create a new solid, which should be added. How? There is only one stitch surface. So I don't understand what is actually going on here. We only have one stitch surface. It's one to close it. This button basically just refines your geometry. Maybe I must edit this. Nope. Let's just roll this back one. Just turn on all these surfaces once more. Okay. No, that is correct. I did pick the correct back edge. Let's try and sculpt. I don't know. Let's try and sculpt this thing as a new solid. Problems occurred while sculpting. Can I stitch and maintain as a surface and not get problems? And I'm going to try and resculpt it now. Please. Failed. Delete face. Do not heal. Wait. There might be hope. And I don't know why I think it, but I just deleted one other surface. Can we sculpt this? I'm just trying to keep everything on the inside here, please. Nope. Can we? No, we don't want to patch, we want to stitch. Please. Can the computation compute? It couldn't. The gaps are just too big. Okay, that's just not going to work. Yeah. This is now all dead in the water. I think the only thing I do want to keep is that original shell. This is all garbage. Doesn't want to patch them. Alright, solid. Must go off. No, the faces really are there. But it won't work. The only other alternative is to right click, select faces and edges, and manually select. But you know what? Let me just leave it as is. Maybe by fluke it won't be broken. There is a little bit of Z fighting happening, especially when I'm very close to the surfaces. Wait. What happens if we deleted the faces inside of this thing? Let's turn off the stone chip. And let's manually select these things. Ma? Let's try and select these surfaces. In theory, to get the most perfect solution, you delete the outside. You then go back and you delete the inside. Then you save both as two separate copies, or make two copies of it, and then delete the outside of one, delete the inside of the other, so you can get the inside skin and the outside skin. Programs like Cinema 4D make this part very easy, but the challenge is this part's easy, but the other parts are extremely difficult. But let's see how far we can get with this. Just trying to select all these surfaces, yeah. I wish Inventor had a flood fill option, but that is not the case. Okay. Delete without healing. Okay. I'm just deselecting the patches that clicked through. Strip here. Okay. Then we turn on that inside. Now there's no Z fighting because there is no face to fight with. Okay, now we can zoom in without it breaking. We then press save. We do file. We do export. We do CAD format. We do Gltf replace yes. Let's open it. Motherfucker. Okay, well, anyways, I know it's correct. Despite the fact that the material does not show. And it's actually more than possible that it's a thing of the software can't see both sides of the face because they don't count as the same object. But let's bring it into into Blender. Let's see. No, don't use the normal data. Smooth. Import unused materials. Okay, that's fine. Bone scale, that's fine. Import. Okay. Now let's just see something here. If I change the mode selection, if I edit, I change my selection to it's very odd. What materials on this face? White. This object is made out of a singular white material. I'm trying to figure out how this thing binded and glued those surfaces together. And you see here, let's just change the mode of shading. A very bad quality surface. Let's try and re-import. And let's use the normal shading. No, it's just as bad. Oh, it's a little bit better. No, it's not. And this is where the challenge lies. You can only go so far, because then in that case, Blender's not showing the material, plus the geometry is looking a bit shite. And the reason the geometry is looking so bad is because we need to try and find another better export option. Let's try OBJ. Options, let's try the brep. I know Blender's units are centimeters. One file per part, no. We want one file. Let's save this guy as an OBJ. Let's open up the OBJ. Let's see how this thing views. Okay, this thing's still now loading. I guess while it loads, let me try and bring it into Blender. Let's actually close this file. New. Bring the object in. Up axis. I don't know which way is the up axis. Okay, let's try and bring this file back in here. And because it's a brep, it should be a little bit cleaner of an import. But because it's OBJ, we might have lost materials. I've got this Blender add-in. Look up blenderkit.com. No such host search. Brother, why are you not... log in? I don't know how I got logged out of this thing. Okay, let's just try and view it in a different shading mode. It's fine for now. And the biggest thing we're looking for is any funny looking glitches in the surface. Like if the shading is looking a bit funny and all of this is looking... it's okay. I think it's only doing that because the view clip end is not deep enough. Or the objects is too big for Blender. Okay, it looks fine. Oh shit, but now you see this is now all one single monolithic part. But each material has its own correct name. This could be the stone chip. And that's the bolts. It's the rubber. Don't know what that is. Oh, that's a galvanize. That is so bizarre. Let's make that green. Oh, you see it's applied both materials to both the inside and the outside. And this is where we get stuck. Because we can do another file, we can do another export. CAD format. OBJ looks good, but it does not work as we expect. Let's try USDZ. I know Blender can also import that. Oh, it's still saving. Let's just give this thing a moment to think. Blender, let's just quickly Google something here. I believe it is Blender full selection / font. This guy. Edit mode. Face mode. Select mode. Mirror, random, similar area. Select. Coplanar, flat smooth, face region. Select linked. It's picking every face. Nope. Yeah, H. No man, what's going on with this internet now? Nice. Amazing. Okay, let's crack open Cinema 4D. Pick a face here. Yeah, I'm not sure why. But let me just delete this thing. Let's just try and do a re-import of the USDZ that just finished. Visible primitives, apply conversion scale, render, geometry, materials, import all materials. Okay, let's click on this, press the dot key. Oh my word. F key, nope. Where did you go? Okay. Is this object very small? No, it's not. Let's select the rotate gizmo. So I select the object. I am in the object mode. I'm in the rotate gizmo. I've exported out a USDZ. I'm holding control to snap. I'm looking at the angle in the top left of the screen. I'm looking for 180. Can I pick the inside? Please, 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 please. I turn it off and on. If I turn that off, click inside, turn this off, click again. How is it still here? There's a solid here. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So you see, there's a stone chip. USDZ for the fucking win. I want to enter shading mode because I don't know how to place an image. Oh, I can. Click on this dot. I'm going to say I'm looking for a texture of an image. I'm going to open up that image. I know it's in my downloads. I know it's a WhatsApp. Dot JPEG. Can't find such a file. Oops, wrong image. Okay. The image is now small, but that's okay because we should be able to go shading. Let's go add UV let's add an empty. Empty plane. An empty axis rather. We'll pick our empty. And in theory, if I move that empty around, it's moving the whole object around. I believe that is the correct workflow, and then I'll go UV. UV. I just need to check here. Blender nodes scale UV. Texture mapping. That's a mapping vector. I thought it was a UV coordinate, but it's not. Coordinate texture. Bring that in. The UV map will plug into the vector. This vector plugs into that vector. I'm just looking at and then the object is going to be my empty. You must just wonder why. Why? Nice. Get off of that material. I just cut it and I just noticed that it's not on stone chip, and it's like, why are you not on stone chip? Some funny shading things are going on here. Delete the UV. Delete. No, man. Why is it so sick all of a sudden? Get this off. Get that off. Get rid of the normal mapping. Because I believe that that is the reason why. Oh. Internal clipboard is empty. Mapping. Add a coordinate. The coordinates are driving the vector for the normal mapping. This vector gets plugged into the image. It's still at point. Everything still seems fine. We try texture A. What image even is this? Diffuse color PNG. I want to get rid of it. I want to open my own image. Because this thing is just fucked. Let's see. If I cut this node, I'm just control right clicking and dragging. Okay, the texture is there. I want to plug this vector back in. Go 50 by 50 by 50. It doesn't need the Z. Okay. The stone chip is stone chipping. What is this? Just make it a darker color. Yeah. Okay. Okay, this is looking a bit golfed. 0.4, 0.4, 10 and 10. 1 and 1. 0.05, 0.05. I'm going to save this Blender asset. LWB_NC. Press save. Then let's try and go file, export, GLB. Okay, I guess I'll overwrite this if it does have one. Let's open file location. See what this export looks like. I might have to rotate the file still, but let's just see if it loads. 17 megabytes is okay. That's not too shabby. It's not too shabby if it actually loads. Okay. That's some progress. I just like to believe they're so small. They are the correct material. Let's just go back to the stone chip. This image is too brown in the export, so I'm going to add a color hue saturation value, plug it into this node. Take the saturation down to 0 because I don't want any color to come through. I'll do a file export gltf glb export. Let me actually just check something. I might be able to just flip the axis upon export, but let's just check. Transform Y is up. We'll turn that off because Y is up. Y is up. No, it must be flipped the other way. Shit. Let's go back to object mode. We are. The file is selected as its totality. Select hierarchy to click to get the children as well. We need to go back to layout mode. And then we must just rotate this thing. Control to snap 180 degrees you're looking for in the top left. Let's save, file, export, GLB, GLTF. Transform Y up, I guess. File, export, USD. Materials. Use material X network. USDZ for compressed, brother. Export. See if this thing cracks open. Okay, this thing's still brown in the inside. So we'll have to just use Affinity, which is a free app. It didn't want to launch earlier, but let's see if it launches now. And the reason I want to use it, I want to edit that photo. Checking license. Okay. I want to start a new file. No. Take my image that I downloaded. Oh. Oh, that's Windows. That's crazy. Share to my phone. Okay. Then we'll go FX. We'll change this thing to where is no HLS. Oh, there, HSL. Hue, saturation, and lightness. File, save. No, file, export. Hopefully it overwrites the original. Okay. Okay. Blender. Click the object. Shading. Go here. Let's turn up the saturation. Nothing comes through. And sometimes certain things that are calculated inside of the program do not make it to the export for whatever reason. Maybe optimization, maybe something like that. But let's just see. Let's see if this loads. Perfect. It's a bit shiny. Okay, normal map I don't have actually. Guess I could just take this texture and just plug it in to here. I don't have tangent space, I have object space. And world space. I'll put this at 0.5. I'm hoping it's just going to break up the lighting a bit, like just make it not so smooth. I think 0.5 is fine. And then with the roughness as well. No man, where is specular? Intensity. This is a principal B. Oh, it's roughness. Shit. We don't use specular anymore. Let's plug. Oh, that's as good as it's gonna get. It just makes where it's white is very rough, where it's white it's smooth, and where it's black it's very rough. Or at least it should be like that. Let's just export this out. Or vice versa. Let's see what's happening here. Those world normals are fucking with this geometry. Okay, let's see. F5 to refresh, guys. Okay, it's looking a lot more smooth. There's like some issues here, but I mean, really. Shit. Okay, this one actually worked out a lot better than the latter. But you can see, like, the materials applied to this hinge is not the correct material. Then in theory, you should be able to select the hinge. Oh, it looks like it's just one of them that's fucked. We can just change it. It's like galvanized. Whatever properties happened in the underlying, I'll just copy this name because What? Is that it? Gltf A1 copy. No man, these are two different materials. Check, one's got an image in it. Can I paste? Enter. It also said Gltf. Ah, here we go. Okay, save. Okay, these bolts are coming out white. Okay. That one's missing a washer. Shift D to duplicate, but I think it's this down button. Copy material to selected. Down arrow, copy material to selected applies the material to all the objects you currently have selected. If you don't do that, it will not apply them. File, export, GLB, GLTF. Let's try again. F5, F5, F5. Okay. That's looking proper. Okay, that one is a lot easier than the other ones. Holy shit. Because the other ones I was trying to also figure out the animation and the whole shebang. And Blender's tools are actually just not there yet. Many people claim that they are, but they really are not. But yeah, then in that case, we just go back here. We then do a file, oopsie. We then go back here. Go back to the open position. And then we do a file, export, CAD format. And it looks like the best option right now seems to be USDZ. I'll call it _open. This thing looks very much closed to me. But even if it is open, we can just change the angle and then change it back again. And in fact, you can even make a new parameter and then you can just drive both angles with the same one parameter. So left constraint angle, right constraint angle, and then you set the other one to be the same value multiplied by -1, and that's going to make it a negative value. Okay, but what's going on here? Okay, but that's basically the, oh. Okay. I can't move things. 222 and 225. crack it open. 222 and 225. Yes. Save. You must save your work, otherwise it will disappear. File, export, CAD format. Oh, it closes the door upon export. Okay. I'll go back to primary, it's fine. So yeah, so what I was saying is you basically go through here, you say add numeric, you say open underscore ang, no spaces are allowed. This is a degree, and this is 25 degrees. And what is it driving? It's driving this value, and that is going to now be a linked parameter, list parameter, or open. And we'll press save. Once I've done that, I'm going to say export once more as a CAD format, USDZ. Yes, replace the open one. And then we go back to Blender, and inside of Blender, let's just save this item, make a new file, general, delete the cube, oopsie, delete the cube, press F5 to reload. And I think, okay, here it is. I think Inventor is still saving. That's the only reason, okay, it is. Tis the only reasonable explanation. The file is 1 kilobyte and is still a USDC. And not a USDZ. Because I'm seeing here, this thing is still cooking. Okay. Okay, now it's done. It's become a USDZ. Blender. Import all materials just in case. You see, this Latin is not looking crisp. And it's upsetting me. And there's no options to pick. It just gives you whatever it gives you. And you must just accept. That other Latin could not have been so bulbous. Just try and do a re-import here. Geometry. I'm going to try. I'm going to try and say subdivision, and hopefully it's going to smooth out that mesh. There is zero guarantee, but we just have to live with it. Okay, the Gltf held. Let's just create that material again. That was shading. Then we needed a mapping node. And with the mapping node, this just helps us move the, we need an image here. Add an image texture. I'm opening an image that is downloaded, that is a WhatsApp image. This plugs into color. And I'm back at smooth white again. Tisk tisk. Stone cheap. Oh. Deek deek. I guess by activating it, it just fixes the material. That's perfect. Shit, was the other one 0.3? Or was it 0.5? I can't quite remember. And these are the things that we must remember. Because if you go to the open state and the closed state, it should always it should always be the exact same size texture. Because then you're going to get a jumping around of the material position. So maybe just write that down. Just as a note to self. And I know this was a second galvanized material. Oh. Steel galv. Oh yes, and I must go down arrow. Copy to selected. Just find that other USDZ now. Okay, let's copy this file location. You never want to overwrite your files. It's a hard lesson. Fucking hard lesson. Oh man. It's all shiny on the inside, disgusting. Oh my word, there's only one viewer for both. I think the galvanized sizing is different, and I think the color inside here is different. It will help if I just call this gray stone. Let's open downloads. Gray stone. Oh my gosh. Now that is my galvanized material. My stone chip is not stone chipping. Okay. Save this. Okay. Let's try this again. Oh shit. Oh fuck! I forgot to fix the shininess. But that's just I just plugged this straight into roughness because it's just going to use a roughness the black and white of the stone chip to drive um, the roughness where it's smooth and where it's rough of the yes. This is it. That's just a basic, just showing you of what the workflow looks like. And this is the ideal scenario where everything is working. Um, I think my biggest error here is actually trying to use the Blender materials because these things ended up breaking my export so badly. But it looks like if you use a standard material node setup, it should be okay without using any fancy nodes in between. I'm just going to save this once more. And let me just copy these files here. Stop this video. Hopefully this is just a very dense 1 hour some long session. But that should just give you an idea as to how to get these things to export. Then you can do like most of the heavy lifting inside of Inventor, and then try and bring it out into here. But yeah, let's see how this goes.